Cast your mind back to E3 2016, where after showing off a new trailer for Final Fantasy XV, featuring music from Afrojack, Square Enix went on to show another trailer, this time for Final Fantasy XV VR. On the show floor, it was possible for attendees to check out the Final Fantasy XV VR experience for themselves courtesy of a demo, but it was described as not very Final Fantasy by The Verge, a mess by Polygon, and just flat out terrible by Kotaku. Either way though, it was at least functional and served its purpose, highlighting that they were working on some VR stuff for Final Fantasy XV. The demo saw you take control of Prompto first person in the fight against Deadeye that was, of course, a prominent part of episode Dusky. You had to shoot Deadeye, while your compatriots went in with melee attacks, and if you charged, you had to move out of the way. In summary, it was a pretty simple game akin to many light gun games of the past. In terms of release dates, at the time there was mixed messaging about when it would arrive. VG247 had it down as releasing alongside Final Fantasy XV on the 30th of September, while Kotaku had it down as launching later in the year, post-launch. The Verge then reported that a Square Enix representative told them that it would be unlikely to release alongside the main game, and would instead be more likely to arrive as a separate add-on, but wouldn't specify a time frame. It suggested that work was very much underway, to the point where there was an actual possibility that it could have launched in September, and failing that would have been out at some point in 2016. But as I'm sure you guys are more than aware, it didn't arrive last year, and Square Enix have pretty much been ignoring it ever since. And given the feedback, perhaps there's a very good reason for that. Tabata did talk about it briefly in February when speaking to Famitsu. They asked him rather bluntly, what's going on with Final Fantasy XV's virtual reality content? His response? Development is progressing, but we haven't progressed to the point where we can say specifically when it will be released. A few days later, Tabata spoke to DualShockers and noted that some of the core Final Fantasy XV teams that are continuing to work on the game post-launch are indeed working on VR-related projects, and that the VR projects probably relate to the unannounced project that was in the works, but that was now 2.5 months ago and we've heard nothing since. Given the lack of communication around the Final Fantasy XV VR experience, which after the coverage following E3 2016, basically boils down to 2 very small bylines in interviews, in effectively almost a year. It doesn't feel like it's a massive priority or area of interest for the team. They've been very forthcoming with other things they're excited or passionate about. It only took Tabata a week to mention about the story expansion and Chapter 13 revisions. And they've been keen to talk about the multiplayer DLC, including some of the custom character creation. They've also spoken about the bestiary, off-road regalia, destructible scenery, and new boss fights like the Cerberus. But in all this time, they've never once been forthcoming with anything new about Final Fantasy XV VR. It's only been mentioned 2 times with brief, nondescript answers, and only when asked about it specifically. Which makes me wonder, why are they even bothering with it in the first place? When it was announced, it felt like another unnecessary distraction, and in my opinion, it still feels like a distraction. Based on the demo they put out, which we were told may not even represent the final product anyway, it was very difficult to get excited for the prospect of playing anything further. And since the demo was so bad and isn't likely to be representative, what was the point in showing it? They would have been better off just showing a little tease at the end and being done with it, or just not showing anything. But in terms of release, well, they have to have been working on it for a decent chunk of time by now, but by Tabata's own admission, they haven't progressed to the point where they can even give a release date, or apparently any kind of detail whatsoever on what it will contain. Will it be free or paid? Will it be a gun game or something else? At this point, nobody knows. Perhaps the team themselves don't even know. There is of course always the potential for them to wow us with their content, and I like to think that that's why they've been so quiet, because they want to make sure it's amazing. I just can't help but wonder, are they just worried about disappointing so they don't want to talk about it? Something which is understandable given their penchant for announcing things too soon. Then again, it's already been announced. It also feels like the silence is just breeding doubt. Anyway, how many of you guys are still excited for the Final Fantasy XV VR experience? And do you feel as though they should at least be showing something about it? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support our channel further, please head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/FFUnion. These awesome folks have already done so, so why not join them? Thanks for watching guys, this is Lauren signing out. See you next time.